The following program is sponsored by John Chachis Insurance, your local farmers insurance agent located at 800 Avenue G in Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Ely TV, Channel 3-2 in Ely, Nevada. Ely City Council meeting, June 13th, 2013.
Welcome to the Ely City Council. I'll bring the meeting to order. I'll rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll have Norma, would I see you here?
Let us pray. The sun is bright and the wind is high. Or the sky is overcast and the wind is chill. Warm or cold, O God, first, last, and always, this is Ely, our hometown. The weather matters not, O God, for we love Ely, her hills and flats, her summer dramas and personality. It is because of this love that we call upon you, O God, to guide and protect our city council members as they deliberate today on our behalf. Bless each and every one of us, O God, so we may work together agreeably to care for our citizens, our township, and our environment. Amen.
Amen. Here.
Here. Temporarily.
City Clerk Howard. City Attorney Briggs.
Here.
City Treasurer Trask. Here. City Fire Chief Rivera.
Here.
City Engineer Umberg.
Here.
City Building Inspector Christensen. City Water Sewer Supervisor Jenkins.
Here.
City Assistant Landfill Street Supervisor Lawrence.
Here.
City Parks and Control Supervisor Craycraft.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, since it's a special night, we'll get to the swearing in on the next, right after public comment. And first of all, we'll have public comment. Comments exceeding 3 minutes in length will be accepted from the general public in attendance. If any are made, if there may be discussion upon the comment, no vote, decision, or action may be taken upon matters raised under these items until formally placed on future agenda. Comments during the discussion will not be accepted by the general public. Section 8.04 of the Battle on Meeting Law manual indicates that the public body may prohibit comment if the content of the comments, if the topic is not relevant to or within the authority of the public body, or of the if the content of the comments is willfully disruptive of the meeting by being irrelevant, repetitious, mindless, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, and non-personal attack, or interfering with the rights of the speaker. And with that, we'll open it for public comment.
I have a short letter here that I'd like to read. Dear friends, I want to begin by extending to all of you my most sincere thank you for the outpouring of kindness and support that was given to me during my medical crisis. I am extremely humbled. Your thoughtfulness meant more, pardon me, than I can ever explain or repay. Thank you. However, I am outraged by the actions of 3 cowards at the May 23rd City Council meeting. 3 weeks ago today, this body voted, apparently against the opinion of our city attorney, to hire an outside attorney to go after me on ethics violations. They voted to spend our money, public money, with no limit specified on that expenditure to pursue vague and undefined charges against me. And no one even bothered to talk with me. to see what the truth might be, to see if there is even a basis for charges. But that is every person's right. In Nevada, if you suspect the ethics of a public official, all it takes is a letter to the proper agency and an investigation will be conducted. You don't need to hire an attorney. Just name your charges. But 3 councilmen voted to spend your money, and that is what has me so upset. One or all of those men could have personally filed charges, and I am happy to answer. But to vote as a council to spend public money on an election smear campaign is misuse of public funds. Thank God in this country the voters have the final authority, and today we have 3 new men on the council. I urge each of you freshman councilmen to pursue the best interests of the people of Ely. Spend our money wisely. Treat everyone fairly. Just do the right thing, and everything will come out fine. Congratulations to new councilmen, and thank you, public, for all your support.
Thank you, Mark. Anything else for public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, in reading the Sheriff Plotter report, I believe it was dated May 2nd, 2013, the city filed a complaint regarding theft of the city utility. I'd like to know who filed the complaint, who was the person or entity that was cited, when did the board address the issue, and what was the outcome? I don't remember anything being on the utility board or your meeting here. Mr. Mayor, the county is about to break ground on the construction for that new pool on property belonging to the school district, or the county, as I find out now. They waited till I did the research myself. They have yet to apply for a building permit. They have yet to apply for a well serve for water and sewer service. I believe it would be illegal for them to tap into the high school connections. It appears you're selectively enforcing city regulations. The monies that are involved in this particular item, you guys claim to be strapped. As a taxpayer, I want you to collect every dime that you do. Every dime. Mr. Mayor, you today have not addressed as to why you're charging White River Museum residential rates and charging commercial rates for my home when I'm not in business. I am again requesting a response in writing or the basis for your refusal. Federal law clearly states that the city may not discriminate in any federally funded or assisted public utility. I also am again requesting a copy of State Senator Pete Gogochia's landfill billing, which he stated at a county commission meeting was approximately $500 or more without any penalties or interest. The city needs to hire an accountant as required by Ely City Code 16B6C. That's the biggest reason I believe that you have 500 more delinquent accounts. The council needs to comply with city ordinance or you need to resign. What'd you take the job for? The rampant discrimination needs to stop. It's only getting worse. I don't see any light at the end of the so-called tunnel. Maybe a shaft, but no tunnel. Mr. Mayor, has the county paid for the water used for the golf course and the city, and has the city collected any monies as addressed by the memo dated April 26, 2012 from Jeanette Trask to Mr. Allworth and then to you folks? The value estimated for that year was $93,058. And I'm not sure how many years that covers, but it's important that you collect every dime that you do. I don't see that happening. Mr. Mayor, on your agenda today, items 7B1 and 7B2, I'm going to ask that you table those 2 items to give the new council members time to make a good, thoughtful vote on those items. I don't think most of them have the time to research it when you're talking about transfer. And I would think that would be reasonable that you do allow them that additional time. Mr. Mayor, this is new one. I'd like to know if you have the most recent updated list of home occupation special use
All right,
permits.
thank you, Stuart.
Can I get some answers sometime?
Sure.
Mr.
A lot of
Mayor?
things are going to change. And you'll have one more public comment. I'm sure you're anxious to get to that.
Well, I
Let's
thank
get on
you
with
for
it.
that.
Let's get on with it.
I need some answers.
Let me get these guys sworn in. Anybody else for public comment? If there is no other public comment, I'll close public comment and we'll move on. Okay. 3, swearing in the new city officers. Number 1 will be council member, city clerk Allward, discussion for possible action, swearing in of new councilman to seat 1 for a 4-year term. Seat 1. And we're going to have, do you want to explain this?
Yes.
Put them all together if you want.
However you want to do it.
I'll read it if you want to do it all at once.
Before we get to that point, let me just make an announcement. I didn't realize, in fact, from somewhere I've heard that there was a possibility that the 3 councilmen that are not going to, that are not still, won't still be on the council, that they weren't going to be here today, and so I was concerned about quorum to get this meeting started. So I contacted the Attorney General's office and asked, how do we handle this if we don't have quorum to begin this meeting? And he indicated to me that because this is not an action of the City Council, that there's nothing preventing us from having them sworn in early so that we would make sure we had quorum. And so I then sent that message out, and 2 of the City Councilmen actually went in and got sworn by Judge Stephen Bishop, just in case we needed quorum to start this meeting, but we didn't need that because these 3 gentlemen showed up. I appreciate that. We did still want to have a public swearing in of the 3 councilmen, and so we've asked Lynn Burley if she would come in and take care of that for all 3 of them.
Okay. Well, that
Thank
let
you
me
very
read
much.
here.
The honor is mine. Before we begin, I would like to thank our outgoing councilman for your service. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, let me read them in so we get it all on the thing. And number 2 is council member, city clerk Allward, discussion possible action swearing in of the new councilman to seat 3 for a 4-year term. Seat 3, stand up. And number 3 is councilman, city clerk Allward, discussion possible action swearing in the new councilman to seat 5 for a 4-year term. So we got all 3 of you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I do have a few words. I would invite you to have your family come up and stand with you, because they too, their lives will be changed today as you take public service. Public service is a privilege and it's an honor. We, the people, have chosen you 3 to represent us. This is an awesome responsibility. All of your past experiences have helped shape you today into the people that you are. Today you will become a new person with new duties. You will draw upon your past experiences as you face new decisions. Use your past experiences. Research facts before you make a decision. Be true to yourselves, and then be true to we the people. Keep a copy of your oath and refer to it when you have a decision to make and you're not quite sure what to do. Read your oath. It'll guide you. An oath is a ritualistic declaration that one will speak the truth, keep a promise, and remain faithful. This is a big deal. This is why we are here today, to celebrate you and the promise that you bring. Congratulations on your new office. And now I'll read it. You'll read, when I stop, you'll say your names, and then you'll repeat after me. I do solemnly,
Bruce Setterstrom.
Randy Lee.
Aaron J. Sam Hansen.
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada,
and the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state notwithstanding. Resolution or law of any state notwithstanding. And that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties as a councilman for the city of Ely,
Seat 5,
on which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Gentlemen, don't go back. You gotta stay there, that's what we're doing. Okay, Robert?
Thank you. See you later, Chief.
Take about 30 minutes for them to get comfortable. You guys about ready? Okay, here we go. And with that, we're going to number 4, City Department report. Fire Chief Rivera. And Daniel report.
The only thing it had is we take a couple days vacation, Tuesday and Wednesday next week. And Thursday and Friday I'll be in Mesquite for the Nevada State Firefighter Association training conference. I have 2 meetings attended with the Nevada Fire Chiefs Association. And usually there's Board of Fire Services and EMS meeting that I usually attend also. So if you need anything for this, contact me by this.
Who's your 5th man?
Great, we're doing great use. Hopefully next week there'll be full shifts. Full shifts. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay. With that, we're going to, we have the police chief is Dan Walker, sheriff, and we have the Vaughn, city clerk.
I'd like to thank County Clerk Lynn Burley for stepping in. Appreciate that. Good job.
City attorney.
A couple things. I would like to thank the 3 outgoing councilmen for their service. They did a great job, and then also welcome our new city councilman. I look forward to working with each of you. Then also, I know Jeanette sent out some information with regards to a training that is scheduled for this weekend in Eureka. It's being put on by the Local Leaders Institute from the University of Nevada, Reno. It's going to be talking about local government, what government is made up of, some of the differences between government and I guess business or general society. And then there's also going to be some discussion on local meeting law and on the ethics in government law. And then Sunday is dealing mostly with budgetary things. I don't know if it's too late to get any of you. If you haven't signed up for that, there is a small fee for that. But I think we could probably petition and still get you in if you were able to attend Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to go over for just Saturday. I don't particularly have much interest in learning about the budgetary stuff, and that's being covered on Sunday. Plus I have other obligations on Sunday, so I understand the cost is the same, but they don't, I guess, they have indicated to me through Jeanette that attending one day would be fine. So if you're available to do that, let Jeanette know, and we'll see what we can do about getting you in. We are going to drive over. We're leaving at 7:30 on Saturday morning. The classes start at 9 a.m.
They're having another session in Las Vegas in mid-August for those of us that can't make it there.
Okay. And then I've got a number of things to talk about on some of the agenda items.
So the engineer, BJ, anything you guys would report?
First off, I guess I'd like to say congratulations. Look forward to working with you guys and wish you guys luck with the tough decisions that you guys have to make. A brief little synopsis of some of the things that have gone on recently. We had some coordination issues that we were dealing with. The BLM is building a new seed warehouse out of the industrial park. The plans for the water line extension came across my desk the other day. I hadn't seen them. They're about ready to go under construction. Had a few concerns about them. One of the concerns was burial depth on those plans. Burial depth called for 4 feet. Our city code calls for 5 feet. Another issue I didn't see on the plans was a backflow prevention and cross connection, which is an ordinance we'll go over later in this meeting. And then there was one other minor issue, which after talking to the engineer, it's not a big concern. So I did call the engineer, talk to him. He's agreed to adjust his plans to require 5 foot of depth. And then he also provided me some additional plans, because all that was provided to me was his civil plans. I didn't get architectural plans that had the interior of the building, but all that cross connection and backflow was located inside the building, which is we're okay with. It's inside. It was protected from the frost and freeze, so that is good. So they did come back to address their issues, and hopefully by the time it gets to the construction, will have them addressed. I also did sign a will serve letter recently for to Shown Tribe. They're doing some additional lots up on their property. I had that for a while. I kind of held it waiting on that, and what I was waiting for, and I talked to them, and they knew why I was waiting, is due to the length of that extension, it requires state approval, and we have never received state approval of that yet. So I continue to stay in conversation with them, let them know what we're trying to get. But he had some concerns that he wanted to progress, and so I did end up signing it, but I signed it, told him that we can't proceed with construction until we get that letter back from the state. So we'll work through those issues. It shouldn't be a big problem. Mount Wheeler Power just stopped back in the office the other day concerning there was an easement that was granted to Mount Wheeler Power some years back for an electrical line that comes off their substation down through towards the cemetery, down towards Main Altman Street. And they come in and have some concerns about, as they come across that hillside in their easement, there's a couple of washouts and fairly deep ditches in there. They've come in and proposed to me that they're going to put some culverts, some 24-inch culverts with head walls on there to protect their utilities as they cross through these washouts. And so based on the preliminary stuff that they provided me, I felt that would be adequate to protect their facilities. And then also, we look at anticipating being able to use those same facilities when we look at our option of actually piping all of that water so it doesn't go into the surface from the top down to the bottom, and see what that possibility is. Brad, our building inspector, had called me up onto Center Street. They had some sewer lateral issues up there on Center Street. It's a situation where a couple of neighbors are actually sharing the same lateral. Fortunately, in this situation, the neighbors are being friendly to each other, and they're working through that issue. Basically, we walked away from there. What was transpired out of there is, hey, this is an issue between you guys because that lateral is yours, it's not ours, it's not the city's. But it is something that we need to keep in the back of our mind, because we don't like the situation where we're sharing laterals. You know, if you get a situation where you don't have friendly neighbors and one neighbor's having a problem, the other one is not Sometimes they don't both come to the table to fix that. So fortunately in this situation, I think this is going to be remedied and work good for a long time, but it is something to keep in the back of your minds that it's going to show up once in a while.
That was on High Street, not there.
I'm sorry, you're right. It was High Street. The other things I got on my, one last thing I got on here, the other items I'll skip over because they are agenda items today. But me and Ron, the water supervisor, did drive around town today looking at some options of some things we need to do in the future of improvements. One of them is we need to look at doing some improvements at the 10th and M well. When we start these wells up, we got to run that water to waste to get that water flushed and cleaned out there. This situation, due to its location with surrounding properties, it's going to take a little bit of work to be able to pipe that to a location that will not affect the neighboring properties. And that's just something that, coming down the road, is something we need to look at. We don't have a solution for it today, but it is something that Ron wants us to kind of put on our list of things that we should be looking at. So, the rest of that, we'll cover all the other items I have on the agenda today. So, and again, congratulations. Look forward. And please, if you guys have any questions, my door's always open. You can call me, stop in, and I'll help you if I can. Thank you.
Thank you, BJ. With that, we'll go on to the first of the month reports. So cemetery section, we have Ron's report. Water sewer supervisor.
Nothing down.
Landfill street supervisor. Education. Park animal control.
Nothing new there.
Oh, okay.
I just have a question probably Jim can answer. Where do we pay to pay for the tires when we're shipped? Because I know there was a shipment of tires out of the landfill. Do we pay per weight to get rid of them?
Yes, tonnage.
Tonnage?
Yeah.
Where do they go?
Salt Lake, Utah, tire over there.
Mike, you have anything?
I do. Yesterday, went to the county commission meeting and they awarded the bids for the park projects, Yankee, Broadbent, and North Street. North Street, just north.
Jack Taylor Park.
What is it?
Jack Taylor.
Jack Taylor Park. Has it been named that? Oh, I'm sorry. But the money's been out. It's Jim Wilkin was the low bid on all that. And as soon as I get more from Sunrise, I'll give it to you on the bid stuff. And after talking to Councilman Burbidge, we need to put on the agenda for the next meeting that what to do with how we're going to process the toys outside here and start getting after it. I'm sure Jim Wilkin will get a hold of me pretty quick and we'll start doing these parts.
Have we ever received a response from Sunrise? They were going to contact to see
I
if
was
we
told
could
yesterday that
make
everything
comments.
is good, so
Sunrise said we were good to go.
yeah.
The parks will be real nice when they're on the new park. Okay, with that, we'll move on to number 5. The mayor will recess regular city council meeting. The railway board of trustees. Since Shane Biden is the trustee, we'll turn it over to Dale Burbidge. Ask the chair.
So we'll open the meeting for the Northern Nevada Northern Railroad Board of Trustees. Mark.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Afternoon, I guess. Almost evening.
Almost evening. We are just chugging along. We're right in the start of the summer season. All the equipment is working quite well. Locomotive 93 is in the engine house for its 30-day boiler wash. 40 will be the locomotive out and going this weekend. We did have some problems with the trucks on Coach 7, and we just rolled 7 out of the shop, so it will be joining the passenger fleet too. We just completed our CCA grant 1023, and this has allowed us to make repairs across the entire complex. And in May, our ridership was up. We carried 1,370 passengers, a 10% increase over the previous year. Our ridership to date is 2,545, an 8% increase over the previous year. And in the month of May, we hosted 2 major car clubs. The Classic Cars of America came through, and I was expecting Chevys and Fords, and we got Duesenbergs and Cords, and they're just beautiful cars. And then we had the Bentley Drivers Club. This is a club from London, England, that shipped their cars to Los Angeles and then drove to Ely, Salt Lake, and then up to Seattle. Their Bentleys were from the late 20s and early 30s, just gorgeous pieces of equipment. Other than that, we are just, we did get the Tiger Grant in on time. The Tiger Grant is a federal grant administered by the United States Department of Transportation. We requested $14,293,289 to open up the track from Ely here to Shafter. And as part of that grant, we received $4,750,000 in match, making it a total of a little more, about $19.5 million. We submitted it the day before the grant was due, and the wheels of progress are beginning to turn on that. I did get a news release, big surprise. They had $450 million to give away. They received $9 billion worth of requests. So, we're going to have to take our chances. The beautiful thing about the grant is we received letters of support from Senator Reid, from Nevada DOT, from Representative Horsford, from the Governor's Commission on Economic Development, from the 3 surrounding counties, Elko, Eureka, and White Pine, and also of the mines. And then also on a rural grant, we didn't have to have a match, and we have a match. So these are all very good things. But again, it's going to be very, very competitive. So as information becomes available, obviously I'll share it with everyone. That's about it.
So I have a couple of questions. We didn't put a list of the outstanding loans. That should be on our monthly. It would be very helpful.
Okay. They haven't changed much other than...
Well, we have the councilman, but
okay.
That should be a monthly item. And on the... says you were informed that the purchase of the railroad... Can you repeat about that, Joe? It says Mark was informed the city of Ely can submit an invoice for the purchase of the railroad.
Yes, I'm working on that. I submitted one, and they sent it back to me saying that they needed additional information.
So we still don't have the money yet?
No. I'm trying to get grant numbers and things like that so that I can resubmit them.
And was the rock that mine donated part of their $4 million?
Yes, it was.
It's been tested and approved by the railroad?
The railroad approves and tests it. There is no federal standard for ballast. So the Union Pacific has a standard, the NSF has a standard. Basically, we get to elect the standard. What we're looking for is a rock that gets the track up out of the mud, will have angular sides, and will promote drainage.
Does Union Pacific, will they run their cars on track with ballast that they don't approve?
Union Pacific runs...
I don't know, that's why I just asked the question.
Okay. All railroads enter into interchange agreements, and we will be able to tell the Union Pacific that our track matches FRA Class 2 standards, which is the standard that the Federal Railroad Administration uses for track. So, which is one step over the minimal standard, which is FRA Class 1 standard.
Has that rock been tested?
It tested for what?
Those things you just talked about.
Well, it's going to be,
Angular
okay,
hardness.
well, right now it's just rock.
The only reason I asked is because it seems like I remember from at least 2 years ago, a statement was made that there was going to be a commitment to testing that rock, and that indeed it had been. I'm just wondering if you have any of those results.
There are no tests for the rock.
Okay.
Basically, what we're looking for is rock that is between 1.5 inches and 2.5 inches in diameter with angular shapes that will get the ballast up, or will get the ties up out of the dirt, and will promote drainage. As far as hardness, we don't have to test for hardness. There is no federal railroad regulation for testing for hardness.
So they could use lava rock?
They could use lava rock if we had lava rock.
Doesn't sound very desirable to me.
Well, again, it's, ideally I would like to go to the Union Pacific Quarry at Granite, Wyoming and get that. The question becomes, what can you afford? Traditionally, for the past 100 years, the Mid-Northern Railway has not used ballast on their track. Not ballast that the Union Pacific uses or the BNSF. You can walk the rail line. In fact, if you walk the rail line from Shafter to Curry, what you're going to find is it's the original, from Shafter to McGill Junction, what you're going to find is that's the original 1905, 1906 construction. In all the years that Kennecott ran on that track, they never put ballast underneath those ties. In fact, the last time the track was used by BHP Railroad, what they did is they went out and put ballast. In fact, there's a mountain of ballast out, I want to say it's next to Green Siding, and basically all it is dirt. So the only place that the railroad invested in the track was from McGill on the High Line all the way down to the mine. And even then, if you walk the track and take a look at it, they would use river rock, which is about the worst possible rock you can use on track, because river rock is like putting ball bearings under your ties. So the railroad has never ever used what any railroader would consider to be ballast. So the rock from the mine, once it's crushed and screened, will have fractured edges, which is exactly what we're looking for. Will get the ties up out of the dirt and will also promote drainage. Is it an ideal solution? It's a solution we can afford. I mean, you're talking about $19 million to open up 120 miles of track. I mean, if you go to anyone and say, what does it cost to rebuild track or do track, they'll tell you $1 million a mile. With the $19 million, we can get that track open and we can service the mine. That track serviced the mine from when it was built in 1906 all the way up to 1983, and then that exact same track took care of BHP Railroad from 1994 to 1999. And this grant that we submitted is actually one phase. The next phase is to put heavier rail in that track. And those phases, the price tags, and I'm doing this from memory, you're talking somewhere around $25 million to do heavy rail from Shafter to Curry, and then Shafter to Curry, and then to go from Curry all the way into town is like another $45 million. So,
I applaud your efforts, Mark, and there's no one that wants this open more than I do.
right.
My concern is that we have applied for this grant, and I certainly hope we get it, but we are relying for almost the entire match to be this rock.